We love building full, complete cars here at V8 Speed and Resto. This particular project is a very special one. It's a 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 396 car. And it came to us kind of in pieces. The chassis had been built already with the engine, but the body had some previous repairs, but it was all stripped and kind of a mess. So the customer is a friend of ours. We did a previous project for him. You may remember the Mr. Chevy Gasser and the hauler truck called Carried Away. We restored the hauler, which went with that Gasser. And Larry, the owner, said, hey, let's do my Chevelle next. Now the reason for the 66 Chevelle is Larry had one of these cars many, many years ago. It was Marina Blue, and it was a 396 four-speed car, and he always loved that one, and you know, typically it got away. So eventually he found this car. Now this is a true 138 VIN car, so it's a real SS 396, but it was missing its original engine and original transmission, which didn't faze Larry because he had a 67 396 and a Richmond 5-speed transmission kind of hanging out under his workbench. But it also allowed him to say, we can modify this car a little bit and have some fun with it and not have to worry about making it a perfect, correct original. Now when these 66 396 cars were new, they were stunning cars. We featured one on Muscle Car of the Week that has like 11,000 miles on it. It's red, white interior, it's got the wheel caps, it's got the bucket seats and the 4-speed and all the fun things that make an SS 396 an SS 396. This particular car was going to have a slightly different trajectory. So Larry had already restored the chassis, he stripped it down, powder coated it, and he had the engine built. It is a 396, but it's been bored out to a 402. It's got a full roller valve train in it, and he coupled it to a Richmond 5-speed manual transmission with an overdrive. Eventually we added fuel injection to it, and he also redid all the suspension on air, so it's an air ride car. When it came to the body and paint, that's where we stepped in. This car had been started at a different shop and then they kind of hit the brakes on it. So we spent some time evaluating what he had, right? And it was determined that some of that metal work was going to have to be redone to bring the car to the level that he wanted to see. So eventually I think we put trunk floor in the car, we did a new tail pan, we put quarter panels on it. These cars have that flying buttress rear window design around the quarter panels, which always held water and moisture and rusted around that rear window. So we had to repair the rear package tray and the filler panel and of course the quarter panels there. Put a new rear deck lid on it. We reskinned the doors. Inside, the floor was pretty good except for we had to make it fit that new 5-speed. So we did some modifications to the transmission tunnel and repaired some of the body mounts to be found in the floor section so that the car would be solid on the frame. This car certainly kept our metal fabrication shop busy for quite a while as new boxes from OPGI kept showing up with the new body panels and restoration pieces, trim parts, badges, rubber weather stripping, all the things you need to restore a body. We did a couple of little custom touches on this. The firewall was closed off for a vintage air AC system, so we made kind of a neat little detail of a firewall patch to cover the original hole. The rear package tray on these cars from the factory is full of holes. It's got little triangles and little circles and all kinds of stuff. And those were used for the very rare rear window defroster or if the car had a rear speaker in the back. But we decided to smooth that whole thing out, close up all those holes, and create a couple of dimples to allow the installation of some 6x9 speakers that sat below flush level. But other than that, we didn't do very much custom modification. Where a lot of custom work happened though was in the fit and finish of this car. As we installed all the new body panels, we took some extra time to make sure the gaps were nice and tight and uniform. Adding and removing material from the edges of those panels, TIG welding stuff in, and our rule of thumb is that it doesn't necessarily have to be the smallest, tightest gap, but it's got to be straight. If it's nice and uniform, and the door gap is the same on the front and the back, and on the left side and the right side, and the trunk gaps are all tight and uniform, and it kind of makes the whole car look like it's carved out of one piece of steel. When this thing moved into our body shop, our friend Matt was on staff at the time, and he actually developed a tool on this car. He called it the Lucky Block, and it's a sanding block that allows the technician to hold on to a true flat surface of a block. And he block sanded this thing from stem to stern with body filler, primer, sprayable polyester primer, and then more block sanding on top of that to make this car as aero straight as possible, because a 66 Chevelle is kind of a slab-sided car. It doesn't really have any rounded curves on it. So the straighter you get it, the more true those reflections are going to be when the whole thing's in paint. So he did a heck of a job on it.
It's a little deceiving. Doesn't look that big, but once you start bodyworking it, the quarters are pretty long, and they also have kind of a double body line going right through the middle of the quarter, and that was tricky to get both body lines just right.
When it finally came to being able to spray some color on this car, again, a little bit of a custom touch. The original colors that were offered had some blues and some greens that were all pretty cool, but Larry wanted something that was unique to this car. So Jeff, our painter, whipped up a color that he calls Tropical Freeze, kind of a play on the owner's last name of Freeze, but it's a aqua, teal, greenish mix with a lot of pearl and metallic in it. So when it hits the sunlight, all the body lines light up real nice.
To produce a car of this level, it takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication. You know, it can take several months, and to just be sanding on a car for that long, but it really pays off in the end when it comes out of the booth, and you can see it finally in color and clear, and you look down the side of it and it's perfectly flat and straight. It turned out really good. I'm very happy with it.
And the interior color was also custom chosen. Now back in '66, most of these cars either had a black interior or a pearl white interior. But Larry's wife was never a real fan of white interior, so he looked at other options available back in '66, and one of them was called Fawn. It's kind of a tan buckskin color, and it was available in a two-tone. So we got reproduction seat covers in that two-tone fawn and buckskin. And then Jeff was tasked with painting the steel parts inside the cabin with a corresponding color. And the story was pretty funny because they were standing around trying to figure out what color code to make those. And Larry looked around and he's like, I don't know, how about the color of that cardboard box over there? So Jeff made metallic cardboard and sprayed it on the inside of the car. So the color scheme is Tropical Freeze with an interior of metallic cardboard, and we think it looks dynamite. The dashboard has been upgraded with some gauges from Dakota Digital, of course the Vintage Air AC system, the Holley fuel injection controller, and the Air Ride controller on the dash, which allows us to raise and lower the ride height of the car, which also makes it very comfortable to drive. And then on the edge of the dash, there's a little hand-painted graphic of a little tropical scene to kind of match the overall theme of the car. Outside, it's wearing all new trim. Larry made some LED inserts for the taillights, but the bumpers are beautiful. The wheels are 17-inch chrome-plated Krager SS's. So it's a real nice mix of kind of vintage appearing, but with just a little touch of modern blended in there. And Larry used a term he made up called a day 3 car, right? So a new original car Those were day one. There's a term out there called a day two car. And there was actually a display at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals of day two cars. And that meant, theoretically, you'd go buy your new Chevelle on day one, and on day two, you'd rip a bunch of stuff out of it and put some aftermarket parts on it. You might put a set of Krager wheels, you might put a different intake and a carburetor, and maybe some headers. So like a lot of those period correct bolt-on items are called day two. Well, Larry kind of took that further and said, well, what would you do further down the line, right? So he calls this day three, and that's a tribute to the air suspension, the fuel injection, you know, the upgrades in the dash. But overall, it still has the look of an SS 396 with the grates in the hood and the badging. But the engine makes more power. It's over 400 horsepower. It drives great with that 5-speed in the overdrive, and it sounds fantastic through the custom dual exhaust. Now, if this was an all-original numbers matching car, you know, we probably wouldn't have taken the liberties that we did, but they're not all numbers matching cars. And there's so many of them out there that had histories where things changed over time. So we were very honored to have the opportunity to make this into such a super nice car. Our team did a wonderful job, and it was always fun to work with Larry on restoring this car. And if you have a car that needs a refresh or a complete redo, we're always happy to chat with you. We don't just do muscle cars, we do stuff with fat fenders from the 40s, things from the 30s. We even do cars from the 80s and 90s if the customer's passionate about it. And we're always happy to make a plan to help bring your dream car to life. You can find us anytime at v8speedshop.com.